When will Ukraine receive Taurus missiles? I literally have no idea, but I know a thing or two about this missile, and in this video I will tell you about it. Taurus, not the astrological sign, not the bull, though ironically this missile can bring quite a lot of bull. Two Russian command posts. It is a German-Swedish cruise missile designed to fly low, hit hard, and ruin someone's day from 500 kilometers away. You don't see it, you don't hear it, and by the time you realize it's coming, well, you won't, because it already did what it came for. In fact, one of the most unique features of the Taurus is something called a programmable delay fuse. This means underground command centers, fortified airfields, and Russian bridges with thick steel and Soviet concrete, all that becomes suddenly negotiable. And also, let's not forget, this missile doesn't just go straight to the target, it thinks, it plans, it flies at treetop level to avoid radar, and it can change course mid-air. It's like Ninja with wings, except that Ninja weighs almost a ton and has a 500-kilogram warhead designed to punch through meters of earth and steel. So in this video I will break down what Taurus is, what makes it different, and why some people in Moscow probably wake up at night hoping Germany never presses the send button. Let's get into it. So why is Taurus so important for Ukraine? That is simple. It's not just about the range, it's about the reach. With Taurus, Ukraine can hit deep behind enemy lines, and I'm talking Crimean bridges, air bases, logistics, hubs, command centers, the kind of targets that are too far for HIMARS and too hardened for drones. You see, Russia's entire strategy depends on fighting from a distance, stacking ammo in occupied territory, hiding S-400s near Crimea, running supply trains through Mariupol. Taurus changes all that. It makes no place feel safe, not even the place that they thought was untouchable. And the best part, you don't need 100 of them. One missile, one precise hit. To understand why Taurus is so important for Ukraine, let's compare it to Storm Shadow and Scalp. These missiles are essentially the same thing. Storm Shadow is British and Scalp is French. Since arriving in Ukraine, they've been busy. We've seen them hit command posts, ammunition warehouses, Russian airfields in the occupied Crimea, and even Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters. The kind of stuff that makes generals lose sleep and sometimes get sucked out into an open window. Now, these missiles have a range of about 250 kilometers or about that. That is good. It puts a lot of territory in danger, and they are accurate. They're low-flying, they're stealthy, and hard to intercept. When they were introduced, they caught the Russians off guard, literally. The terrorists had to move their logistics further back. They buried more bunkers and started building new air defense lines. But here's the thing, Storm Shadow and Scalp are just the beginning. They've already forced Russia to dance to our music, so to say, which is good. But they've also adapted, and adaptation is not surrender, it's just digging deeper and making our job harder. And that's exactly where Taurus comes in. Taurus basically takes everything Storm Shadow does and pushes it further. While Storm Shadow flies about 250 kilometers, Taurus goes beyond 500. That means targets in Crimea, the Kerch Bridge, and even air bases used to launch drones and missiles at Ukrainian cities. All of those become reachable. Suddenly the Russians realize that their rear is not their rear anymore. It's the front line of bad news. Now let's talk brains. Taurus doesn't just fly to a GPS coordinates and explode. It maps terrain mid-flight. It uses digital scene matching to recognize valleys, rivers, forest lines, so even if GPS is jammed, Taurus still knows where it is going. It's like giving a cruise missile a PhD in geography. Then there's the warhead. Storm Shadow carries about 450 kilograms of explosives. Taurus has 481, and it's not just heavier. It has a tandem charge system. First, it opens a hole, then it goes inside and then explodes. So yeah, Storm Shadow and Scalp have been game changers, but Taurus, that is a next level. That's not just shaking the game board, that's flipping it over and saying we're playing something else now. Now let's talk about targets, and not just any targets. I'm talking about the kind of objects that make Russian generals sweat through their uniforms when they hear the word Taurus. With a 500-kilometer range, Taurus can reach deep into Russian occupied territory and also parts of Russia itself. That means logistics hubs in Rostov, that means fuel depots near Belgorod, air bases in Kursk, and radar systems in Bryansk. These are not tactical targets, these are arteries of the Russian war machine. You cut them and the whole body starts to slow down, panic, and eventually collapse. And then there's Crimea, which is still illegally occupied and still used as a massive military warehouse by the Russian terrorists. With Taurus, bridges like Chongar and Genichsk are once again on the menu, and the Kerch bridge as well. I know that it's big, I know that it's reinforced, and that is exactly why Taurus is perfect for. You don't need to destroy the whole thing, you just pick the right parts and let the gravity do the rest. And of course we cannot forget about another actor in the circus, the Belarus, or more precisely Lukashenko, the dictator that is known for hosting Russian troops, threatening neighbors, and pretending to be a nuclear power. He was very happy to deploy Russian weapons on his territory, including reportedly tactical nuclear systems and even the so-called Oreshnik ICBM, which is still a rumor, but it's a bad rumor. And guess what? If it is deployed in range, Taurus can reach it. Now, I'm not saying Ukraine is going to start launching missiles into Belarus tomorrow, but what I'm saying is when someone parks an ICBM next to your house, you don't wait for them to knock on the door. You prepare, you get options. And Taurus is exactly that, especially in case Russia turns Belarus into its weapons production factory like it did to North Korea. Now, since we mentioned nuclear weapons, let's be clear, Taurus is not a nuclear ICBM, but it can successfully remove the threat of nuclear ICBMs. We're talking about hardened facilities, underground bunkers, missile slots, command centers, the kind of places where the Russian military might keep their ICBMs. Normally, these sites are buried deep, they're protected by layers of concrete and steel, but Taurus was designed for that. It penetrates, it goes in before it explodes. And this can pretty much shake Russia's position of being, this evil and scary nuclear superpower, because if those underground silos are within Ukraine's range, they can be hit. Of course, I'm sure that there's quite a few people out there who might say, you dirty Ukrainians, why can't you stop escalating, hitting nuclear facilities? You're playing with fire now. Why can't you just let Russia keep striking you over and over until you finally die and disappear? Friends, if you know people like that, please let me know in the comments. So to sum it up, Taurus is not just another missile, it is a strategic tool for Ukraine. It gives Ukrainian defenders the ability to hit what matters most: command centers, supply lines, air bases, and yes, even targets supporting Russia's nuclear threat. Storm Shadow and Scalp showed what Western weapons can do. Taurus can take that to the next level. It pushes Russian logistics out of reach. It turns those safe zones into targets and reminds every Russian terrorist that there is nowhere to hide. Whether or not it arrives and when, it's still a political question, but from a military perspective, Taurus is not just useful, it's necessary. My dear friends, let me know if you liked this one, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. I'm Operator Starsky. Thanks for watching.